Hey guys, welcome back. Just wanted to do a Friday update for XXII 22nd Century. Hope you guys all had a good trading week and everything went well. So as expected, it kept dipping like we called. We thought it would go down, and it certainly has, right? Um, and it may be a little panicky, like I said. It For some of you, it may have been time to sell if you had a super high average, or it may have been time to double down, purchase some more. It's kind of up to you. But I wanted to take a look at the chart and give a little bit of explanation of what I think I'm going to personally do and see how it works for you guys. So we still have our same fib arc here pretty much from the other day. I extended it out a little bit to match the peaks that we were getting, and I'm actually going to adjust it a little bit more now. There we go. All right. So we have our basic trend there, and as you can see, it's dipping through the fan blades pretty extremely. And the thought is, and I kind of agree on this from what we just talked about in our Discord, the thought is that people were really anticipating the bat news a lot sooner than it came. Now the deadline for that is October 1st. That's a Sunday, so I guess technically it'd be October 2nd. That would be the last day that we'd hear about it. And so people are getting antsy and selling, and a lot of people want their money now. And I would definitely assume that the lack of news has a lot of people scared. Me personally, I'm not scared because they have a deadline, it's clear set, there will be news. And anytime before news comes out, there's going to be at least a little bit of hype and stock price buildup. So I'm not worried necessarily myself. I mean, obviously I'm not invested yet. But what I'm seeing right now with the stock price dip isn't that scary to me personally. Excuse me. So as you can see though, where it dipped and kind of bounced back is on this fib trend right here, the very bottom fan at the 61.8%. And it did reject it pretty nicely on the 60-minute. And I'd like to go into the 10-minute and just see if it's kind of the same. And it definitely is. So as you can see, if we zoom in a bit here, it crashed. It wanted to test this this fib line, and then it went down a little bit. It wanted to test this one a little bit, both under and over, and it couldn't quite hold it, and so it tested the next one, and that's where we're at now. And I honestly think we're about at the bottom. We may test a little bit under it on Monday and Tuesday, and that's when I'm personally probably going to try to buy in. I think that this dip is about done, and with the news being a little bit over a week away at most, it's going to start recovering in my opinion, because again, it built up over hype from the news. People are saying buy out, buy up, buy out, it's going to happen quick, it's good news. And whenever people say things are going to happen but without an actual date present in the filing or something, it's kind of hard to believe them, right? But the general consensus will go the way of what most people are saying. And the news has been delayed. Well, it's not even delayed. It hasn't even been the time yet. So you can't even say it's been delayed. And so you just got to be open-minded about when things are actually happening. And our support here on this fib so far is pretty good. It's a little bit less than we had on these tests at these other ones right here, but it's still starting to kind of retrace this. And I honestly think we will see a little bit lower on Monday, but Monday is going to be when it starts turning back up, in my opinion. I think the end of the week is normally when selling happens anyway, and we're about to be done with it. So let's take a look at what we're looking at in terms of equalness here. So we have our horizontal line at the bottom here, 259. I don't think we actually even hit 259, but it's pretty close. Okay, and as you can see where we're at right now, it was very steady at this price. So that leads me to think that if it's going to dip at all, it's going to not be much further than these most dips right here. So we're talking 246, 250, 259, around that range. And I'm only saying that because it's matching all this gap filling and support right here. And obviously because of people being scared and selling and stuff like that. And I think that'll happen a little bit Monday morning. There's generally, if it's going to be a drop, it'll be Monday morning pre-market. And that might be when I try to buy, but it might also happen later in the day. But let's see if there's anything else we can look at to give us an indication of if it's a good time to buy yet or not. So let's go back to our 30-minute. And we have our MACD. Our MACD is pretty oversold, below the zero line, kind of low. Negative 0.08, that's pretty relatively high, especially if you look back. It doesn't really get this low. It did way back here in August, in the middle of August, but that was after a huge peak, right? And that's kind of what happened here. There's just kind of a huge peak and a longer decline because people are waiting, getting it, they're getting antsy and selling, right? But if you see the fast line, it never deviated extremely far away. There's still good support and buying pressure keeping this close, right? So when this does cross, I think it's going to cross very easily and continue that uptrend, at least from what we're looking at right here. But let's take it to the daily and see how it looks. And see, and this is where I get the fear of it still going a little bit lower Monday, because we got the sell signal right here on the daily. Now, is this sell signal necessarily going to happen and be down all day and going to have to dip really low to recover? Not necessarily. But I think it's going to happen just because of the momentum of the stock price going, and people are still going to be a little bit scared Monday morning. But then reality will hit in that, hey, news is still coming, and people will start buying in again a little bit. So my thoughts are that it seriously may be a day or two before it starts recovering fully by looking at the daily chart, but it could honestly be as short as doing it on Monday. So let's go back to our 30-minute and take away the MACD and pull up the ones that we use a lot, the Stochastic Momentum and the Chond. Yep, and if you look, the Chond Momentum has already been super oversold and making an upturn. And we're oversold, but making an upturn as well in Stochastic Momentum on the 30-minute. Let's check them out on the daily. See, if you look on the daily, you're getting kind of the same thing as a MACD, deviation away and slowing down, right? But the Chond has got almost to the zero line, and at that point, it does like to bounce back up. So that may happen the same way with the Stochastic Momentum. We don't really know yet. But if the psychology of what's been happening the last 2 days keeps going, these will continue down a little bit before they recover. But again, it still only looks like a day or two before it would start shifting back in our favor. Let's take this over to the 60-minute. Okay, and again, still oversold and still have possibilities of upturn relatively shortly, but we are still in a downtrend. Let's take these two away. And let's see how we're doing with the VWAP and the RSI. Actually, let's do pivot points first. Okay, so RSI is great. It's chilling low, it's almost oversold. That gives us plenty of room for pop. That's fine. And if we look at our 60-minute pivots, we're now in the first major support zone, whereas we talked about before, we've been extremely out of it. And I said yesterday, we're going to probably go back into support, and we totally did, and almost even to the bottom of it. I think I even made a line yesterday at 257, and we almost got to it today. So it depends on how far it wants to settle in this support zone. And as you can see, it does like to ride around the top in the dark green or in the upper resistance area, at least in the most recent charts, right? So it's fair enough to say, I think, that it's not going to dip too far into that, but it definitely is going to stay in the zone or go a little bit down first, in my opinion. Let's see how these pivots look on the daily. Okay, and again, on the daily, we are still very much in those upper resistances. So you got to take that into account along with all those indicators that we looked at and really make a decision for yourself if you think that it's going to continue to reject and go on this upper trend line, or if you think it's going to continue down and go into this resistance zone. I personally think it's going to keep going down just a little bit more into this resistance zone and then curtail back upwards as news gets closer and closer. So the real trick, if you're not invested and you're waiting, is going to be trying to time this bottom the best as you can. You may buy a little too early, you may buy a little too late, but if you can find a nice price rejection to buy, that's when I would say to hop in personally, and that's probably what I will do. But again, that's just personal advice. Do your own DD. I'm just, this is just entertainment and stuff. So this is the best that I can see, but make sure you do all your DD on your own and do your own charting and all of that. Don't just rely on me, okay? And I'm honestly, I don't think there's much more I need to chart on here besides these horizontal zones, but I would like to go back to the 60-minute and see if we can get some sort of fib fan trend here to see a point of where it might start retesting. Okay. Now we're going to go from this upper peak here and go with our trend down to where we currently are. Okay. And as you can see, it mostly wants to be in this big band, right? For the most of it. It tried to test out of it, couldn't quite support it. News didn't come and people start getting weak. Selling. It tried to test this again right here. Couldn't happen. Selling continues. So if you look, we have a very nice range here of where it might price reject and start continuing up. And we may legitimately be close to the bottom. I'm going to say, in my opinion, that we're not quite at the bottom yet. Let's pull out our vertical tool. And if we pull up market open on the 25th on Monday, and let's go to also closing time on Monday. Okay. So I'm going to readjust these horizontal lines to some cross points. Okay. So at opening we have right here. Closing we have right here. Closing we have right here as well. All right. So if you think it will continue on this downtrend, then we have possibilities of hitting around 257. And if it really continues on the downtrend, possibilities around 248. I personally think it's going to be in this range between 257 and 248, and that's going to be my buy zone. Now, it may not happen. It may reject and go back up, but I'm scared of also getting into a point like this right here where it looks like it's about ready to recover and it just dips again. So you really need to pay attention to how the price action is going, how the L2 is acting, and determine for yourself what you think the bottom would be, and then buy from that point. My personal target is probably 257, maybe 250, but I'm going to watch this very closely on Monday and see how it reacts and see which trend it does recover to. But like I said, I don't think it's going to crash terribly hard. I don't think we're going to be seeing 230s and down. Definitely not any 190s or anything like that, because we have so much support, right here, and it's fine. It's fine. So keep an eye on the fibs, keep an eye on the trend, see where it's going, find your buy zone and do it for yourself, and hopefully you come out on top. And if you guys, I haven't said this before in the other videos, but if you guys have any requests or anything like that for me, just join the Discord, because we actually have a video request room. And in there you can give me some tickers and stuff that you'd like to see charted out and things like that. I'll put the link for the Discord in the comments section, or in the description rather. Feel free to join. It doesn't cost money, anything like that. I don't think you should ever pay money to be a part of a stock discussion. That seems really shady to me. Yeah, maybe pay for education and stuff like that, but for just chatting and talking about stocks that are cool, you shouldn't have to pay. So if you want to join the Discord, feel free. I'm going to put the link in. And again, you can request videos. We chat about tons of stuff, and it's a good time. So other than that, good luck on your plays in the upcoming week, and hopefully you guys make a lot of money on this one. All right, guys, have a good weekend.